is courageous enough to stand by his Attorney General, because the president has spoken eloquently, about physical federalism, whereby the federal government, the state government, and the local government will be working hand in hand for the overall development of the nation. There is no way this nation can develop without the local government being autonomous. And this issue of local government elections is also critical. The local government chairmen are done by appointment, either as sole administrator or as local government chairman without elections. But I'm very happy that in my own state of Imo, our governor, Senator Hope Uzodinma, has talked about having a local government election, free and fair election, sometime this year, I believe in September. I think that is the way to go. Local government is the closest to the masses. Go to overseas where you have mayors okay, look at a city like San Francisco. San Francisco Airport, which is one of the largest airports in the world, is being managed by the local government, by the city of San Francisco. The same thing is applicable to other airports. Local government is very critical. So as long as we keep making local government an appendage of state government, there will be no progress, there will be no development in this country. So I really thank Mr. President, for standing his foot to make sure that local government becomes independent and autonomous in this country.
Dr. Runkabelo is a place where you are so passionate in terms of this issue of autonomy, but there's a difference between a plan and it getting, to fruition because of the pushback from and how powerful, the state governors are. Do you see light at the end of the tunnel? This has been a discussion, not even of this administration, of previous administrations. The money doesn't get to them. And they put their stooges in this, local government. And most of the time, you don't even see local government chairmen. You see caretakers and all that. So how do we get, this concept to actuality?
Well, I think the good thing is now we have a president, and of course, the National Assembly working closely with him. The president has the political will and the courage. Most times when we have issues of policies that falls flat on its face, it's because along the way, the political will was not strong enough. It's obvious. You see, some things are a blessing in disguise. Inflation came up, and everywhere in the country is, the people are hungry, the people are hungry. Everyone is hungry. Because when they talk about hunger, you look at it that we don't have separate markets for parties. It's not a political party thing. We all go there, and we know what we're going through. Now the president has looked at it that, look, even just like 2 days ago, when he was addressing, I think, the Yoruba community in the villa, he made it clear. He said, this is a federalism. Let's go back to that. Because until we go to the grassroots and it works, believe you me, things will be tough. Just to mention this, the Middle Belt area, that's now it's called the Central North area. With every ounce of respect and, let me say, truth, they were the guys feeding this country until insecurity crept in. If you look at the whole of the Middle Belt, which is now the Central North. And if everybody is fleeing away, then what happens? The local government, if they don't work, let them have their money. Let's even, policies are not fixed. They are not cast in stones or cast in iron. There are some policies that you can say, okay, let's try it for 2 or 1 year. If it doesn't work, we revert. If it doesn't work, we adjust. But we've not tried it at all. All we hear is, it won't work, it won't work. Let it work for once. Let their money go to them and let it work.
Okay, they say don't always look for problems, look for solutions. Let's look in the direction of a former deputy governor is certainly, seat presiding and all that. I spoke with a politician in the course of the week, and he was saying that even when you have these policies, the recruitment process is another issue. That you can actually give the money straight to the local government chairman, and based on browbeating and their fear of perhaps not returning or being removed or something, they would even by themselves hand the money back to their, to their principals, the governors, in those states, out of sheer fear.
Yes.
So you have been there. How can this work?
excuse me, I think if the way I see things moving, of course, the federal government backing it, and of course, with the support of the National Assembly, it can come into play. Like I said, all he needs is for the governor to sit down with the local government chairman. I know there's a discussion on how do they come about, how do they get elected, that the state electoral boards need to be dissolved. The Attorney General was saying that it should all go back to INEC. I'm also in agreement with that, because the state electoral commission is also in the pocket of the governors, so they can decide who becomes the local government chairman. So it's already an election if the governor is deciding who comes on and who doesn't. But like I said, it can work. If you do complete autonomy where they stay on their own, some of them will not survive. Excuse me. Some of the local government won't survive because they don't have enough money. They're not big enough to have the resources from federal to survive, to sustain themselves. So it must be where the state government is saying, okay, here, part of the IGR we're raising goes to each local government to pay your teachers, to pay your civil servants, or whatever. But it can be done. And I do agree with the fact that, yes, let's empower the local government. Because to me, instead of having just one person being in charge of all the resources, spread the resources around. Some governors argue the local government will just chop the money. So
they are chopping too.
So you're chopping. So why don't you allow the local government to say, because that's a way of spreading, excuse me, resources. So I think it's the right step in the right direction. All it needs is a sit-down discussion and cooperation to make
our international viewers will not know what chopping is, but we keep them in that ignorance. But let's take something. The president spoke, sometime during one of the holidays, the religious holidays, and he was talking about the concept of the Nigerian in general. What exactly are you doing for your country? How do you care for the other Nigerian? How are you thinking about the country in general? Times are hard, times are hard, but what is your contribution to national development? How are you seeing Nigeria? Is it from a pessimistic or optimistic perspective, from the different tiers of government, and from you in terms of the value you are adding to the project Nigeria? Let's hear from him.
As we go through our rough and tumble system of democratic world and freedom, we share our friendship, our oneness with each other. Let us, in our heart, care for the needy. Care for those who have not. And together, we can promote peace and stability across the world. We can teach the message if we believe in it. It is a joy that you share the evening, and the memory of it is what we need to extend to your various countries. That stability is here, peace is here, and we should all join together to promote peace across the world. There will be no economic prosperity without peace and stability. I want to sincerely thank all of you for various acts of diplomacy that you embraced.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu talking to Nigerians in terms of maintaining peace and having a buy-in in the project Nigeria. Let's join our correspondent, the State House correspondent, Musbah Dan Wahab. Musbah Dan Wahab, tell us, give us a sense of what is happening. We, talking about, a day like this, you will, be expecting some, activities at the State House, parades and all that. What is happening exactly? We spoke with one of our correspondents earlier, Ignatius Ikwo, and was telling us that at one point or the other, they're expecting that the president will come to the National Assembly. So perhaps you can, tell us a bit about what has been happening in the State House, as well as activities in the course of the week, and what you expect perhaps later on, in the day and perhaps in the week. Musba Danwahab.
Thank you very much. What I can tell you reliably is that the ambience here of the State House is quite calm, and it's close to normal activities for the president in every other day. But what is actually happening is not so far from the fact that, today is just the anniversary day, or the first anniversary day, May 29, commemorating the handing over or transitional day for the administration. But actually, the celebration is not happening today, and that is not far from the fact that, June 12 has now been designated as the Democracy Day. So it is expected that that is going to be the major celebration for democracy in Nigeria. The State House here, there's no any parade for now, but what is certain from the itinerary of Mr. President is that any moment from now, he will be going to the National Assembly as scheduled and as widely transmitted to Nigerian people that the president will be participating, will be attending the joint session of the National Assembly, talking about the Senate and the House of Representatives. So for now, he's still in the office with his vice president, Kashim Shettima. You know how the National Assembly is important to these people because the president himself was a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the vice president as well was also a senator. And it's just a family affair that it looks like this time they're going to join the current family members of the National Assembly. So apart from that, the president is also expected to carry on with these scheduled activities, which will include the inspection and inauguration of the commercialization or commercial activities of the Abuja Metro line. And that will be later today after leaving the National Assembly. So we expect all of these to come one after the other as the day continues.
All right, Musba, before I let you go, you have just talked about the two helmsmen, talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the Vice President Kashim Shettima being senators, because a senator is always a senator. There's nothing like former senator. But they are going to, going back home to see, what we would refer to as, colleagues of some sort. Apart from that, how would you, in your, interactions with people who have visited the villa, how would you rate the interaction between those two arms of government in your interaction with them? And what do you expect to happen today? Is it just, as usual, a return home, and then perhaps are we going to see something also profound in terms of, how the two arms of government want to continue in the next 3 years?
Well, this is supposed to be democracy with three arms of government. It's talking about the executive, legislature, and then the judiciary, each with their independence. But clearly what this administration has shown is that that's spirit of togetherness, inclusiveness, working closely with other arms of the government. And President Bola Tinubu has demonstrated this clearly with the way he has been working with the leadership and members of the National Assembly. The Senate President, who is the chairman of the National Assembly, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and of course, the Speaker of the House of Representatives are almost always here to talk to the president when it comes to national issues. So they are working from what we can see clearly together to ensure that democracy thrive in the country, and that they deliver dividends of democracy to Nigerians. And just recently in Lagos, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio said it at an event that he doesn't care what people say. The National Assembly is in full support of this administration, all aimed at giving good dividends and benefits of democracy to Nigerians. So clearly, we're having a very cordial relationship between these two arms of government. Very
much, Musbah Dan Wahab. We're also following that synergy, because the studio arm of NTA presentation and the one on the field is equally working in synergy. But so we'll come back to the studio arm. Thank you very much, Musbah. Let's stay with the former deputy governor very quickly. Did you have this kind of relationship in your time? And a lot of people have said state assemblies are almost like, let me not use that word, but something like a stamp at times. Do you get, for instance, some dissenting voices from the State House of Assembly telling you, okay, you go this way, this is where we want you to go?
Well, in our case, I think when the dissenting voices came from other opposition parties that were able to win elections, not from the party members who were members of the state in our assembly. There was a time the state assemblies were being asked to vote for autonomy, and they actually didn't. They decided with the governors not to ask for autonomy. The process. But
they wanted their own autonomy.
They wanted that.
You know why?
That's a good one.
But it's really a sad situation, the way the electoral process works in this country. The independence is very needed. It's very much needed. But getting there is a problem. How do we get there? How do we make it possible for the local governments to be independent, but yet working together? I'm emphasizing that because it's very important that the governors are working together with the local government chairman. They can't be independent forces just doing whatever they do, because nothing will get done. I give an example of a road traversing several local governments. If the governor says he's not going to build a road, what happens? Would the local government build just his own section? He probably won't be able to afford it. So you need the cooperation of the governor, the local government chairman. Now, the question is, how do we get the right people in those offices? We must find a way of getting INEC to be in charge of such elections and hoping that the right people, the right parties will emerge. I know people talked about the last election cycle, about the problems. But that's one election that brought in people from so many different parties. If you look at the Senate, I think there are about 6 different parties in the Senate, maybe 7 different parties in the House of Rep, 8 or 9 different parties in the state House of Assembly, House of Assemblies. So, to me, it was an election that the opportunity was given to people, other people from different parties, to be able to participate and win election. Even though people can say it was fraught with so many irregularities, but if you really look at things objectively and see what happened, what transpired, you will see that this was one of the good elections we've had in the past several years. I believe this is the right direction, and I'm happy that the Tinubu administration is pushing it. The Attorney General is pushing to have the local government to be autonomous. Even the judiciary also needs to be autonomous. I always say that one of the greatest challenges we have in this country is it's not an issue of policy. We have enough policies. The bottom line is the issue of accountability. People need to be held accountable for your action or inaction. That's what's lacking, nothing else. We have the brains, we have the right people to be in power. It's just people do things that are mind-boggling and get away with it. Because who will hold you accountable? Even if you get arrested by EFCC 2 days after making a statement, they release you, they take you to court, you get a bail, and then the process starts. You see people who are being tried for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, they're still out there being tried for a crime they committed several years back. After a while, it gets, the files are full of dust. Nobody talks about it. It's just the new things that keep on happening. So we must make the judiciary stronger, which I see the administration is also pushing for. Pay them more so that they are not in a situation where they're begging for funds to be able to take care of their family. Pay them more. Let them take charge of their situation. Let them be in charge. If we have a bad judge, let the NJC remove that person. Don't keep a bad judge in office, because to me, it doesn't help the country to develop. I say that the executive arm will come and go. The most is 8 years you rule. Legislature, you do election every 4 years. If you win, you continue. If you lose. But you put a bad judge in office, he stays there. He's in office. Continue to commit all kinds of malfeasance and gets away with it because nobody's touching him. That needs to change. That's the only way we can move forward, because we have whatever it takes for any country to succeed. We have it in this country. We have it in Nigeria. And I'm praying in the next 3 years that the Tinubu administration will make the steps needed for that direction to come. I'm happy with some of the decisions he's taken. Yes, it's hurting. It's hurting for a lot of people, but it's the way to go.
All right, we'll take other things, that especially the leadership recruitment process, and we have a party man also here, apart from yourself, to look at why we sometimes get some, people who might not be worthy of such seats in, a position of authority. But let me remind our viewers that because of the day, we will be moving to different parts of the country. But first, we will be stopping at the National Assembly, where the, President is expected to take a stop, perhaps also commission the National Assembly Library. The lawmakers are waiting. I understand that their session is on in both chambers, the red chamber for the Senate and, of course, the green chamber for the House of Representatives. In the course of the day, we will be there, as earlier talked about by our, correspondent at the State House. We expect that movement will be done in the course of the day. So we will be taking you there to the National Assembly to see that session. All right, we'll be also telling you about some of the other programs on standby in the course of the day, and then we would bring that as well. Let's stay with, let's come to Dr. George Agbekai. Somebody, made some allusions some years ago and said that Barack Obama may not win local government election in Nigeria, and a lot of people laughed and all that. But in those days, especially 79 to 83, it looked as if the local governments, the councillors and the local government chairmen, looked like a breeding process to see who the next governor will be, because you would have seen them administer at the local government level, their interaction with the people, their confidence, their competence, and then you might bring them forward and all that. These days, we even see a situation where, governors are brought from abroad and all that. They don't even know the lay of the land and all that. And then they spend 1 or 2 years even understanding their people before deploying effective policies. How do we change this? First, from the party perspective, how do we get the very best brains, even from the universities? The gestation period of a, potential leader getting to that podium. Where do we begin to, breed this new set of, leaders? And how can we go about it so that we get this effective leadership you spoke about earlier?
I think the commitment to internal democracy is key. If you check our political primaries, most of the political parties are not committed to internal democracy. And the issue of godfatherism, in party politics, that has been a major factor. And the monetization of our politics. You now talked eloquently about professors coming in to serve. A professor may not have the money to even pay for
the ticket, the form.
The form. You see what I'm saying? So internal democracy, monetization of the election, as of the nomination and politics in general, to run for a governorship election in Nigeria and become successful. You may be looking at 5 billion naira, 10 billion naira. How many people have that kind of money? Even running for the Senate or House of Rep, you may also be looking at 2 billion, 1 billion. And that's why when most of them go into the Senate or the House or the governor, they try as much as possible to get back these monies they have spent during the election. So that is a problem. We need to look for a way to extricate money in our politics.
That cannot be done now that it's even the prices are getting higher. Let me bring this on, but I'm going to stay with you. Yes. A man with a double PhD, one in economics and the other one in public administration, we once told him, can you come and represent us? He says he's voiceless. We said, why are you voiceless? He said he cannot express his interest because of the price. Expression of interest for the price. He could not, he's now voiceless. He can't express that interest because of the money based on the expression of interest form. So we understand this. But you politicians are even, perhaps, you know, we can say you are the people who have made this, highly monetized. Highly monetized. When you say a politician is generous, it's nice, that means it's generous. It's not necessarily because of the projects he has been able to achieve. It's because of the bags of money he has brought back to the constituency and all that. How do we, de-incentivize this use of money, especially in getting the party ticket? How do we go through the recruitment process in such a way that CVs are brought, antecedents are looked at, and then we don't look at the baseline of Naira and Kobo and get the right guys in the system?
Well, unfortunately,
you paused a little bit.
Unfortunately, based on the constitution we have and the Electoral Act amendment, it may be difficult to get that done. Truly. First of all, the political parties themselves needs to reduce the amount of nomination forms. Okay, look at it. In the presidential election, some political parties sold their own forms. So I don't know, 20, 30, 50 million. Go to the Senate, even regular House of Rep. Some political parties sold their own, I don't know if it's 5 million. That's a lot. Majority of Nigerians cannot afford it. Except people that make their money through illicit manner. And when you win these primaries, to fight for this position in the general election requires enormous amount of money. And that's why sometimes you don't really see a lot of genuine people, professors like you mentioned, getting into party politics. That's a big problem. Look, go to.
You want to say what? Let Dr. Bello say what. But before Doctor comes about, I was talking to you about the activities lined up. The president's going to, also inaugurate the Abuja Metro line. Of course, he gave the Minister of the FCT the matching order. I said he doesn't want a house in Abuja. What he wants is to ride on the Metro line. So in the course of the day, we will be there to see the locomotives and the light rail, see what is happening from destination to one of the terminals and see what is happening out there. The Metro line, we understand it is all ready, the trains are ready, the cabins are ready, and in the course of the day we'll be there to also look at what is happening there. We'll give you those pictures live. We also be in different parts of the country. It's not just here in Abuja that the 1 year is being commemorated. Some governors, of course, who the ones who did not have their elections off cycle, also will be marking today as their 1 year anniversary in the saddle of those states. So let's come to Dr. Ronke Bello. In terms of the recruitment process, for the women, it was reduced, but a lot of you said you want it free, so that some of them said they want it free. And but tell us about this. What is your impression about it?
For leadership recruitment, I think the problem is highly monetized, as has been said, and I think being highly monetized is still tied to the state of the people. If you go to a village where people are poor, people are unfed, they don't want to hear your grammars or your policy. They don't even understand when you are saying you have a blueprint. What they want is cash. They don't care if that cash finishes that day, but theirs is today, we were given cash. So fundamentally, it's wrong from that point. Now, the good thing about today's, I mean, life is, even politics is in transition in Nigeria. Today is just 25 years, and we thank God for that.
Of the Fourth Republic.
Of the Fourth Republic, yes. It's changing. Because more professionals, and I'm glad seated here is a vice chairman of the professional angle of a political party. Before, we didn't have things like that. Because the professionals, they run away, the academics, they run away, because, okay, I don't have that kind of money. Far back to years ago, I think 1999, when some nice people from my village said, come around for House of Assembly. And I said, okay, cool. They said, you need 250. And I said, I'm coming back, and I fled. Because who is going to invest that kind of money in an election when you are not even sure of winning? But today...
Some say it's business now.
Well, it shouldn't be business because we're talking leadership. But the good thing is it's changing. More professionals are coming in because we saw after a while that the reason why leadership was not working in Nigeria is because the people who should be profiling such leadership had left the field in fear. So suddenly professionals are coming in. And even, let's look at this, if a governor, for example, paid millions to win his election, why would he come in and then rather than efficiency, he goes for loyalty? That's another problem.
All right, so let's quickly also let you see some pictures from Port Harcourt, the River State capital. We will be there also in the course of this broadcast. State governments are also marking their 1 year. And Governor Simfubara, there's a scorecard, an event to commemorate 1 year and see exactly what has been happening in terms of developmental strides from Port Harcourt. Governor Sim says his staff say they have the SIM card to development in River State, and we'll see how that will be done in the course of the day. They would come with the scorecard as well. We'll be there live. So, you know, Dr. Runke, sorry to interrupt you.
No,
we're talking about
okay.
leadership.
Yes, so the people who should now choose appointees, for example, if they did what we call a 50-50, bring in the politicians that worked for you, but really if you want development, you bring in the technocrats. It's a potpourri, it's the mixture of that causes development. But where you win an election and you just go back and say, okay, all the people that voted for me, all the people that helped steal ballot boxes when ballot boxes were still being sold, all the people that were on the streets should be the one in governance, then there is a problem because they don't have what it takes to move the country forward. Even so, I won't even say it's all on the politicians. Yes, the politicians need politics to come into play, but once elections are over, if you are really determined to grow your land, to grow the people, to bring development, you need to now bring in technocrats who know the know-how of leadership and development to help do the work. And I think that's still the gap we have in Nigeria.
All right, Dr. Okeke says he has what we call it, the formula to, you know, get these things right.
I think it all depends on sincerity of purpose. The elite have a lot to do with this. Like they both said, there's money in politics, and you can't remove the money.
You do spend money.
When I will come to that. When I was deputy governor, I went to Lagos, and I met with the traders, the who is who from Anambra in Lagos. These are the big boys. These are the big boys that bring in 100 containers every month. And I said to them, you know, you guys are here just worried about your containers, you know, coming into the country. But you're not really politically aware. You fail to realize that one stroke of a 15-naira pen, your container might become a contraband, that you must begin to get politically aware. And I said to them, listen, 10 of you big boys can come together and put a purse together. Come to Anambra and look at all the candidates, all the people coming out to run for election. And call them, invite them over and interview them. Excuse me, what's your name? Where are you from? What's your background? What do you do? What do you intend to do for our state? And once you've done that, look at the best person, the person amongst them that seems to have the wherewithal to do the right thing. And then support that person with your funds. Now, the funds you're giving is not for him to pay you back. It's not for him to give you contracts or employ your people. You're doing it because you want the right person in governance. You want the fact that if this guy does well, it gives you opportunity to come back to your house, your village, palatial home, without worrying about criminals, because he's doing what is right to chase criminals away. Do it the first time. If the person works hard and succeeds, support that person again for a second term. If they win, good. If that person doesn't do well in that 4 years, remove him. Put somebody else in. Do that about 3 cycles, 4 cycles. Things will begin to get better. The people that really want to make a change, that have sincerity of purpose, will come out because they don't need to worry about funding. I didn't run for governor. Why? Because I know I don't have the money. And I'm not interested in getting money from some billionaire who now sit on my neck to pay him back somehow or employ his cronies. No. So we must have a way where the big boys, the elites of every state say to themselves, we want good leadership for my people. If not for me, for my children, for my grandchildren. Let's come together as a group. Spend. What is money? What do you expect? The money that you're amassing, what is it for? It's for a better society.
I would have loved to, interrogate this further and ask you what they said when you made this presentation. Because it will get to a point where the man with the big containers will become angry when he calls the governor first time he doesn't pick. But, that's one way. We know the mentality of Nigerians. I put him there.
You can't remove the money. There's no way to remove the money now. Not in the short run.
There's some discussion of a transmission. But let's take a few things. You just talked about containers, and containers come through ports. This administration recognizes this. I happen to be from a riverine area, and my ancestors would have loved to benefit from this sector. But of course, it's coming now for the new generation. Now, Nigeria took a giant leap into the future with the creation of the marine and blue economy, and the indices from government's blueprint for the industry is showing a glimpse of hope. While investment in shipping business topped priorities for stimulating economic gains, key players believe post-infrastructural upgrade will unlock jobs, create wealth, and other amenities for Nigerians. Michael Olaleye reports.
It is a new dawn, beaming with rays of hope, and beneath the sun is the ocean presenting riches and wealth, waiting to be harnessed. Whether below or above the sea is a $1.5 trillion treasure which Nigerians hunt for a chunk started a year ago. The voyage has been eventful, with government putting all machineries in place to make the shipping business work. And for now, operators say there is a wind of change favorable to willing investors.
The Dangote refinery has started, so for wet cargo businesses, there is now originating cargoes coming out of Nigeria to rest of the world. And this spring up opportunities for Nigerians to be able to participate.
The goal is to establish a shipping line capable of competing for the $10 billion annual ship charter spent by foreign companies, while making Cabotage Act work for the indigenous ship owners.
It gives us opportunity to get money at a very good rate for us to be able to compete with our foreign operators.
As a starting point to unlocking these huge opportunities, there are proposals within the range of $600 and $700 million for the upgrading of the Lagos ports.
Port efficiency is not just about automation, which we've already begun. It's also about, the physical infrastructure. So the physical infrastructure must be in place, and that's why we are going to reconstruct. Then we are automating. Automation would naturally bring efficiency, increase revenue, and then, plug, leakages.
The proliferation of dry ports is another area in which the federal government is investing vigorously, and for now, 3 are completed and operational out of the 6 legacy projects enmarked.
The essence of having these dry ports is to bring shipping services closer to the shippers in the hinterlands. This is because it will improve the ease of doing business, and also the And not only that, it will also enhance trade volumes that will come in and out of Nigeria.
All these initiatives are yielding global recognition as approval for the extension of the country's exclusive economic zone from 200 to 220 nautical miles was given by the United Nations.
Emerging areas in the blue economy need to be looked into. Even the areas that Nigeria has not yet entered into, for instance, seabed leasing, underwater mining, the exploitation and capturing of other renewable energy resources such as wind.
The strong conviction that the blue economy is indeed the oil of the future also reflected in the transfer of the Department of Fisheries and Oceanography to the ministry, further giving room to fish for more wealth.
As a government, we continue to create policies and programs that allow for enabling and conducive business environment for trade facilitation and market access that promotes transparency, efficiency, and compliance with regulatory standards.
Within a year of its creation, key players say the path to economic gains has been established, and in a matter of time, the results will commensurate efforts.
Our flow must be consistent. Automation is very important. We need to start driving efficiency across all the sectors. We need to start being data-driven and more of going automations.
The future is bright, offering large maritime space to explore, and it is hoped that the country's blueprints to harnessing marine resources for economic growth will deliver expected results. After all, doing business with the ocean can never end in tears. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
Michael Olale, with that report, of course, any report from the ocean is not salty. Well, it's the ocean itself that it is. Let's take some sound bites from the president. He's been talking about the economy, efforts to resuscitate the economy and rejuvenate key areas of the Nigerian economy, and looking at key areas that could help in diversifying the economy. We'll be talking about that in a short while. The president was speaking about that, and of course, the inroads made in gas and of the opportunities there in terms of domestic competence, in terms of production, in terms of new avenues for growth and development. We'll be bringing that shortly to you as well. But our guests are still here. Dr. George Abukai, Southeast Tinubu Support Organization, Dr. Ronke Bello, publicist and policy analyst, and of course, Dr. Ikem Okeke, former Deputy Governor of Anambra State. All doctors. I must quickly work on my PhD. But let's, continue with this discussion, and let's quickly hear from the president first, and then he will set the, the perspectives for us to continue on this discussion.
The 3 milestone project, which includes the expansion of the AHL gas processing plant, the ANO gas processing plant, and the 23 kilometers ANO to Obiafu, Obrikum, Oben, OB3, custody transfer metering station gas pipeline project. This event is highly significant in our country and demonstrates the administration's determination to accelerate the development of critical gas infrastructure geared at demonstrably enhancing the supply of energy to boost the industrial growth and create employment opportunity and further prosperity for our people. The project also fully in line with the Decade of Gas initiative and our quest to create value from nation's abundant gas assets while eliminating gas flaring and celebrating industrialization. It is pleasing that approximately 500 million standard cubic feet of gas in aggregate will be supplied to the domestic market from these two gas processing plants, representing over 25% incremental growth in our domestic gas supply. In practical terms, this is more gas to power the sector, more gas to industry, and more gas to critical segments of our economy. Let me at this stage congratulate NNPC in particular, because when we review 11 months ago, we resumed, I asked of this project. I made my priority and the administration's priority clear on gas for prosperity. And they say, this might take 2 years. These 3 projects. Upon later review, they didn't make further promise, but they said they will surprise Nigeria. Today is a great day for your achievement, demonstrating teamship, commitment, and dedication to duty. I congratulate all of you, the entire team, for what you have done for the country to achieve this project in less than 2 years, 11 months. Fulfillment of promise.
If you're just joining us, this is a special, an NTA special on the 1-year anniversary of the current administration, and it also, of course, is the commemoration of 25 years of the Fourth Republic, successful transitions in governance, and of course, scorecard in terms of delivering the dividends of democracy. And I'm being joined by Dr. Runke Bello, publicist and political policy analyst, Dr. George Agbekai, Southeast Leader Tinubu Support Organization, and Dr. Nkem Okeke, former Deputy Governor of Anambra State. I start from Dr. Okeke again. Issues of security. There's no business that can thrive. Most policies would not get beyond gestation period if security is not in place. In terms of even attracting foreign investors, that is one of the first things they will look at before they bring their businesses into our climes.
Absolutely.
How do we, first of all, get the buy-in of all the agencies? We've had situations where even there are issues of, non-cooperation between some security agencies, and then you get to tough war and all that stuff. Apart from that, how would you rate how the current administration is going about, constructing its security architecture to effectively, answer the questions Nigerians have been asking in terms of getting our security up to speed and engendering investor confidence in key sectors of our economy?
I think the initial appointments that the president made showed his direction, where he looked at trying to spread, so it's not from one region. All the security agency heads were from different parts of the country. That gets a buy-in, that he wants inclusivity. Then having someone like Nuhu Ribadu to chair the NSA, because the charge for the NSA is to always coordinate all the security agencies, bringing the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, all of them together, police, all of them sitting together in one room and talking and sharing information. Like my fellow analyst mentioned, cooperation is important. I remember after 9/11 in the United States, that's when they formed the Homeland Security. That was the result of the Homeland Security Agency, which coordinates all these ministries, all the FBI, the CIA, all of them come together and they share information. The whole idea is simple. The Navy can't be everywhere. The Army can't be everywhere. The police cannot be everywhere. But if they're able to share information, then intelligence helps, because you know what's happening in an area. If somebody comes to a particular location and you're able to put that person in a database, and that person links to another person, you're able to understand the movement of people, the movement of criminals. That is key. That is important. Of course, providing more personnel. We don't have enough personnel right now to man the entire country. We need more people. Of course, the issue of resources not being available hampers that move. Then providing armament, providing all the guns. You find a situation where the criminals have sophisticated weapons that the police can't even match them. You can't go to a war with a criminal who's carrying an M60 and you have an AK-47. He has a better reach. He can, stop you dropping your tracks before you can even get to, where he is. So we must find a way to provide increase the number of armaments they have. The use of drones. I can never overstate or understate the use of drones. We must be able to acquire enough drones, be able to send them out there to recognize, to be able to get information, to be able to track these criminals in their movement. Of course, we must also be able to arrest, prosecute, and jail. This must all be linked. It can't be a situation where people are arrested and maybe not tried, and before you know, they are released back into the society. So it's a gradual process, because to me, it's key to our development. You can't help the agricultural sector if there's insecurity. You can't help put it on portfolios. But if you want physical investment, if you want foreign companies to come here and invest, we must provide security. We must be up in our game to make sure things are moving in that direction. Key to any development whatsoever.
Dr. George Ekwekai, agric and even the mining sector seriously impacted by insecurity.
I remember vividly being on this platform immediately after the election, when they were searching for ministers and other government officials. And I did say that for somebody to become a national security advisor, it does not necessarily mean that the person has to be a former military general. I said so because having a former military general to be NSA, superintending, the chiefs of staffs in the military, sometimes he becomes overbearing to either the CDS, to Chief of Army Staff, Navy, and Air Force. Why? Because he sees all these chiefs as his genius. Probably he was a major general when they were like colonel or perhaps major. Now we have gotten somebody who was not a military general as NSA, Malam Nuhu Ribadu. And the tide has changed. He's doing an absolute good job coordinating all the military chiefs. And it is working. According to records, news reports, terrorist attack leading to deaths in Nigeria in the past 1 year, it used to be about 2,600 per day, but now it's less than 200. It's a news report, So, like I said earlier, intelligence sharing, intelligence gathering are key to resolving criminalities in this country. Look at solid mineral. Solid mineral is a key area in the development of this country. We've not even started tapping it. There are numerous of them. You know, the person in charge of that area, who we all know, Dela Lake, I believe is a capable individual, and he's doing very well in that area. But incidences of insecurity is hampering, you know, that pretty progressive area. Same thing is applicable to agriculture, as our sister alluded earlier. Kogi State, Benue State, Ebonyi State, Southern Kaduna. You know, the issue of herders-farmers conflict is one that the government need to deal with. You know, if all these things are done, I believe food security in this country will come to play.
All right, let's. You want to make an intervention very quickly before
okay.
you know.
I think for security, we salute all the men and women out there protecting Nigeria, both externally and from internal aggression. But I think we should look at the root cause. As long as people are unemployed, as long as people are jobless, as long as it's a money, like my brothers have been saying, society, then people might take to carrying arms, and this is what is causing the insecurity. Because if people were busy really right, on their farms or doing their own things, then there won't be an area where they're recruited. Because when we look at it, yes, we thank the people who have worked in the past and presently. After all, there was a time that Abuja was always bombed. The churches were bombed, the marketplaces were bombed, UN was bombed. But now they've been able to restrict that away. But unfortunately, it turned from what then we all call Boko Haram to now kidnappers, to now herders farmers clash, which in itself became more dangerous. So I think the government must find a way of getting more of its population employed in doing something, so that they call and recruitment and the things that glitters, that they look for quickly, which is money, in insecurity will reduce.
A company was established in a local government somewhere in my state, and I was speaking with one of the parents, and I asked for one of the young men who used to give a little bit of problems. They said now he's very tired because he returns around 7. So once he has worked from morning till 7 o'clock, he's too tired to be recruited to do anything. I understand what you're saying, but let's talk about the issues of armament that you were talking about. And let's see this report. President Bola Tinubu approved the procurement of 12 attack helicopters for the Nigerian Air Force, and is expecting the delivery of 51 aircrafts to boost surveillance and possession of attacking criminal camps and cells across the country. Let's hear this report from Ismail Musa, who gives, in terms of actual details of what has been done in the Defense Ministry.
A safe and secured environment is critical to socio-economic development. To confront terrorism, kidnapping, banditry and secessionist agitation head-on, the present administration embarked on procurement of hardware to enhance the capacity of security forces to tackle emerging threats.
The president last year did a supplementary budget and approved close to 500 billion for the procurements of military hardware and the support and welfare of the armed forces. And that has been supporting. The armed forces have bought a lot of equipment, aircrafts, UAVs, MRAPs, APCs, and a lot of guns and ammunition. That has supported the modernization process of the armed forces. Last week, we commissioned 20 MRAPs that were given to the DHQ.
And to ensure institutions of learning are secured, the Safe School Initiative Squad was activated to curb the menace.
Going forward, we are strengthening law enforcement and security measures to prevent these abductions and strengthen physical security across vulnerable communities. I want to put on record and appreciate the leadership and encouragement of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
In view of the dynamic and complex nature of these threats, the Nigerian Army has been strengthened through the procurement of armored personnel carriers and training to facilitate rapid response to security challenges.
We need more men on the ground so that we can fight more criminals. But the president has graciously approved for the other militaries and other security agencies to do a massive recruitment, so that at least they can be posted to various places of distress, so that at least the issue of insecurity will go down drastically.
Similarly, President Bola Tinubu approved the procurement of 12 attack helicopters to operationalize the Nigerian Army aviation and improve ground troops' responsiveness, while Army units and forward operation bases fortified with deployment of platforms and equipment to upscale troops' fighting power.
There has been a remarkable improvement in troops' ability to defeat and destroy improvised explosive devices planted by the terrorists, and this has reduced the fatalities on troops. Troops of Operation Hadinke neutralized over 1,750 terrorists. Troops also rescued over 820 hostages.
The Nigerian Air Force, the elite arm of the military, and the Navy have received several aircraft and vessels, while other platforms have been expected. This is to enhance surveillance and precision in attacking criminal camps and cells across the country.
We want to assure Nigerians that we are fully committed to achieving our mandates. We will never compromise.
The Defense Headquarters is appealing to Nigerians to see the ongoing drive to further secure the country as a collective responsibility by providing timely intelligence reports to security agencies. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Many thanks to Ismail Musa for that report. Before we round off on that, we'll come to Dr. Okeke briefly. This is what has been done at the level of the forces at the national level. One will say, also the subnationals should have some buy-in. In the southwest,
yes,
they had some security network. Ebubuyagutu came up briefly in the east. How strong is it? What's been happening? Because sometimes, local intelligence sometimes helps so much in at least getting to the, nitty-gritty, the hideouts, because you can't just come from Abuja and expect to get, to some of the havens of these outlaws.
I think I will always go back to, when I was a deputy governor. We tried to do the much we can. I know the government, excuse me, the government invested quite a bit in the security agencies, providing vehicles, providing logistics. And then we equipped the vigilantes. We work with the vigilantes. Now, the difficulty with the vigilantes is that, yes, they are homegrown, they are there, they know the community, but they carry pump action. You can't go to a fight with somebody who has an AK-47 and you're carrying a pump action. It can't work. So I'm not quite sure how we can, if there's a way to graduate the vigilantes to a police force so that they have the same equipment that the police has. I'm also, some of the things I've been thinking in my head at times is we need to withdraw a lot of the police force we have with VIPs and give them the work of police. What's wrong with setting up a private security, force funded by those in the VIPs that want the security force? Let them pay the money. Find a former Inspector General of Police to man it. Let them recruit people, train them, provide all the necessary equipment they need, and let them do their private security service. Take away the police and let them police. If it's possible to even merge the civil defense with police, let's do that. Because to me, sometimes the duties overlap. Why don't we just have them as one? Train the vigilantes to become policemen so that we have more police in the system. The governors are funding them, maybe they're not paying them enough, but force them to pay more to the vigilantes. Because we need more.
Some of the effective ones, though, that I've seen were all these babas that have been, a Nigerian Legion, very effective, but they can't be recruited, so to speak.
Yes.
So there must be a way to capture those ones as well. Because experience in security is very important.
Very important.
Very important. Two, that's one. Let's look at another aspect. It seems, are we helpless in this issue of our borders? Because you keep on talking Pump Action AK-47. The guns coming from somewhere.
From somewhere.
If we could achieve perhaps even nipping this in the bud, those guns not even getting into the system in the first place, or huge penalties anywhere any sniff of an arm is seen, huge penalties to that area, whoever it's traced to, whoever it is, get that one done, and then having more priority on our cities across the borders. It seems as if we have left them to, we have people, let's plain speak, because we have guys who are employed. I mean, they see it as smuggling as a business, especially when you talk of cars, for instance, in Nigeria, and they come from different parts of this country, they get into the country. Can we do something in that direction? That is one. The second one is, perhaps some people are afraid about this issue of vigilantes. When it comes towards election time, they turn to thugs because they still have these, guns and all to unleash terror. They do vigilante work in normal times, but when election is coming, they become something else. Also, that aspect has also, been spoken about. So let's take that, questions back to back, and I also wanted the intervention of Doctor as well.
Yes. The issue of vigilantes becoming thugs, I really don't see that happening a lot. But I do agree that I've seen them and I've seen their effectiveness, but like I said, they're not well equipped to do much. And sometimes there's no communication between them and the police force, where they can say, okay, once I see somebody and I can't fight them, let me call the police force to come and provide support. So I don't see that
happening.
Happening. The other question you raised was
borders.
Borders. If I go by what I see on a regular street, on a regular road, then I know our borders are very porous. You come to a checkpoint, a policeman there, and you see a car with boys in it, and all he has to do is just stick out his hand, maybe with 1,000 or 2,000. The police take it, and the vehicle continues. This happens to me. I see it all the time. All the time. So the question I ask myself, if this is happening here, why should the border be any different? If somebody is importing a car, through the border and knows that it's illegal, all he needs to do is when he gets to the border, find a wad of notes, give to whoever is the border guard there, because it can be traced to him. There are so many borders all over the country that who says that this vehicle came from my own checkpoint? No. So I'm not quite sure how to change the mindset of our people to do their job. Policemen on the street just take money. They just take cash and the cars just move. And it's sickening. It really is. But what do? Some say remove them from the streets, remove them from the roads. I'm not sure whether that works, because it gives the armed robbers or the criminals access to just move up and down. But when you put them there, they don't do the job they're expected to do. So it's like a catch-22. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So I don't see the border being any different. Now, I just pray it's only vehicles that are coming in, not armaments. But I know that's not true, because where do these criminals get all their AK-47? Where do they get their M60s? Where do they get their rocket launchers? You see a criminal carrying a rocket launcher. From where? Where is he getting it from? I mean, I don't understand it. So you find, of course, we can't cover all the length and breadth of the border. It's not possible. Even if you have the roads that have roads access to them, what about the bushes? What about the forest? They can just, create, trails and then pass through there with horses or whatever, camels or whatever they want. They just enter into the country. So I don't have the answer. I really don't. But I think we need to increase the number of our police force. Like I said, merge the civil defense with the police.
But if maybe Dr.
Yes.
Abuja can answer this, you are older than us, and you've seen, when you step into other countries surrounding the country, especially these francophone countries, The people who are controlling traffic, they don't even hold arms. Sometimes it's just a whistle. You don't even see anybody brandishing anything. Yeah. So how come you come from that country, you get into this place? There's order just on the other side of the, fence, and then you come in, you see all this disorder, or ungoverned spaces.
I think the problem is the mindset.
The mindset
is naturally the orientation of our people. I believe immigration is positive. Immigration is very significant to the development of any nation. But in our own case, our borders are pretty porous. In fact, the immigration officials and some members of the military, they are not really doing a great job, in curtailing illegal immigration to this country. If you go to the Niger area, Lake Chad region, there is probably absence of immigration officials there. It's pretty porous. I know that the current Minister of Interior, Tunjojo, is a very capable individual who has done a whole lot, in the area of international passport. That is certain. But we want him to do more, to checkmate illegal immigration in our borders. He's a very capable individual, and he has done well in other areas, like, in correctional institutions, he's doing okay there. But the area of immigration in our borders, if we are not able to checkmate, the kind of people that are coming into this country on minute-by-minute basis, we are in a problem. And that's where this insecurity begins. Both bringing in of arms and ammunitions, they all come to our borders. So the earlier we checkmate these particular areas, that will help us resolve the criminality and the insecurity problems in this country.
All right, somebody was sending a text, said they should work on the fences of the correctional centers. But I understand what let's move on very quickly. Let's move on very quickly. When we talk about the cycle, there's also an aspect. This is 25 years of unbroken democracy. We've spoken about the legislature, we've spoken about, consistently spoken about the executive. An area that we should speak about is also the judiciary. Because now it seems as if the cycle is not complete. Even election cycles are not complete until the courts have spoken. Politicians like Dr. Okeke must keep something aside for the sons. Even after he has won election, the sons will still have to defend this election in court. Beyond the validation of the people, he still needs to go to court. But let's quickly take this. It's almost 25 years of unbroken democracy, democratic governance in Nigeria, the longest since independence. The success many have attributed to several democratic institutions, but one that stands out and seen as the arbiter and sustenance of Nigeria's democracy is the judiciary. Austin Ayebe of the Judiciary Desk gives us this report.
The restoration of democratic rule in Africa's largest country since May 1999 has no doubt brought positive change in the politics of a nation of more than 200 million people, though not a perfect one, coming from reported cases of corruption, electoral malpractice, and political violence, which have remained intractable despite a deluge of reform initiatives. While the benefits of most institutional reforms have been difficult to measure, there has been significant progress in a few key areas of national political life.
The judiciary has and continues to play a key role in the electioneering process, contributing to the credibility and integrity of the process. Though election disputes are inherent to elections, challenging an election, its conduct or its results should, however, not be perceived as a reflection of weakness in the system.
The reform in the judiciary has led to the institution's gradual emergence as a courageous and impartial arbiter in electoral disputes.
When you measure against citizens' expectations, you're always going to find that there are gaps. But at the end of the day, it's a question how are those gaps addressed? And I think that whether it is in this particular specific issue of electoral litigation or indeed other areas of judicial intervention, it would be important that the judiciary constantly reviews how it is matching citizens' expectations.
And in talking about high-class political cases, courts have given judgments also that calmed frayed nerves in the country. The last judgment given by the Supreme Court in cases from Plateau State, Nasarawa State, Zamfara State, Kano State, I think Osun or Oyo, Osun, those judgments helped in calming nerves and reassuring the citizen that their votes counted. So judiciary has done a lot.
These decisions and the new activist role of the judiciary as a vital instrument of political control and democratic stabilization has helped to prolong the life of Nigeria's Fourth Republic.
Kind of threat or intimidation should make a thoroughbred judicial officer deviate from the law and ponder to public sentiments and emotions, which are often misplaced. Media trial can never hoodwink a judicial officer to begin to do what is unconstitutional and at variance with our extant laws.
Politicians, of course, would have to understand that it is not usual that they would go accuse the judiciary or judicial officers of malpractice. They would not go and make allegations that are unfounded and try to build public opinion in support of their case.
Even with some cases of electoral offenses and conflicts characterizing the democratic process, many politicians have preferred the judicial channels to resolve their conflicts as they have confidence in the arm of government.
It takes a lot of understanding and practice of the fundamentals of democracy. So, on the part of the judiciary, if we take up the first one, democracy is all about rule of law, meaning the law should be the one to guide our conduct. Obedience to law is what should be our ethos.
In Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
Thank you, Austin. From the judiciary, we'll be going to the National Assembly soon. We understand that the president has arrived at the National Assembly for the joint session there. We'll be getting there soon, and of course we will be linking up with our correspondents there. We have two, Ignatius Nkwo and of course State House correspondent Musba Odan Wahab. So shortly we will be joining them as well, so stand by for that. Not forgetting also other activities lined up for today. There's the inauguration of the metro line, and other states also doing that. So we will be doing that very shortly. But we have Dr. Runke Bilu. She's been talking about women for a while, that why have we not done that? We have women lined up here. I hope perhaps you've seen that the Nigerian Television Authority has received several awards in terms of inclusion and women in top positions in the organization. So we would always cover that aspect as well. But I would also ask, what about the men? But let's leave that as it is. But let's talk about your sector.
Yes.
What are your expectations?
For women?
Yes.
Okay. I think this administration has done so much by saying they're going to give women positions of note. Don't forget, we used to pursue the 35%, and Nigerian women are still pursuing that 35%. But I think what I would like to say is some of us belong to a school of thought that women should not be seen. I mean, physically, yes, culturally, traditionally, we have issues of women being the softer or weaker sex. But I think women should not be seen in leadership as an appendage of any other person. Because gender actually has no brain. Brain is brain. Performance is performance. Leadership quality is leadership quality. So I think it's high time we stop putting women like, oh, just look for areas. I'm happy that of recent, we've seen women in Nigeria being ministers of finance. We've seen them on other high levels, not just women affairs. Actually, we're looking forward to the day that a man will be moved to be minister of women affairs, so that they can go and learn something too. So really women are doing
there's already a title like that, but it's not for broadcast.
It's not for broadcast, okay. So women are doing exceptionally well. Women are marking down. Even in the last election, a lot of women came out at the sub-national. Some could not really fly because, like we said, the money aspect. But women are doing so well. And another point of note is we won't just like, oh, we need women, more women in governance, and then we bring just any woman, with due respect. We need to have women who can stand their own ground in their own areas and deliver on the jobs they're given. So it shouldn't just be, okay, bring 10 women and that. In politics, just to say that quickly, before now, the areas women were given is to come and dance and share peanuts and clap. But of recent, proudly, women are taking their own positions. Even in the campaign team, the last Tinubu Shetima campaign, which I was a member, my brothers there were members, we took roles on that were equally seen before, like roles for men. So the Nigerian woman is doing very well. We expect more for the president. He has promised us a reward system. We don't still have enough women in today's government. So let me use this platform to say, yes, we're looking for more women to be brought in, because when it comes to management, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to delivering on the gains of democracy, when you want a job, I mean, it's said, if you want something said, send the man. If you want something done, send the woman. So please, we need more women on board to move Nigeria forward.
Well, I will ask this question, and I don't want you to see me as somebody who is anti the women movement, but I have to ask you, if we are more, I mean, if the population of men to women is even more women in some instances, the statistics show even more women. Is it not out of the hands of the men, for instance, if the women were to take a stand and just vote for women? I'm talking of elective position. Okay. I'm just asking, in terms of simple numbers, instead of this recurring stories of women are not there and all. We've seen situations where women have come out in party conventions, fully loaded with women, and no woman will vote for that woman. It's not an issue of competence, nothing. So I'm just saying, apart from issues of, okay, the society must do this, the government must do this, what are the women doing themselves to push this through? For instance, we've seen what the youth have done in Not Too Young to Run, for instance, and it got, you know, the backing of the government of the day at the time, and Nigerians in general. Is there a movement that is galvanizing momentum towards this eventuality?
There are so many women groups out there that are doing things and propelling women to come together. It might not be very strong in politics yet, but it will get there. But in so many other professions, we have the Women League of most of the professions. It's before that, well, I agree with you, they say women hate women and they won't vote for women. But that still comes back to the men, because the men share the money, and most times the women don't have money to share, so they go to that side. But that is in the past. Today, Nigerian women are no longer competing. We're complementing each other. And that is why we're having more people in places of authority. So now a woman can come. I mean, even the last election, we had a few women out there. And the National Assembly, that dropped, which I'm sure is still because we don't have that kind of money. So the narrative we're putting out there for women, especially in politics, is let's find a way of equally becoming economically independent of these men. So when you come to a campaign, I mean, what a man can do, if you are throwing out money there, I might not be that rich, but we should be able to say, look, this is what we're equally bringing on board. So it's still the men that are getting modeled up into our activities that in politics we've not been able to put ourselves together. But like other professions, we're getting there.
All right, let's look at the value chain. It's not a good one, but let's look at the value chain in the political system. You see the mentoring processes, or the way the men do it and get their successors or get whatever they are doing. Are the women doing the same? Are they supporting other women who are coming up? The ones who have gotten their leg through the door. Have they been able to mentor other women into this support group and looking out for them, for instance, you know, to get to that line? Or are you thinking in that direction? Because we've seen situations where men go out of some, you know, political leaders go out of the way, to mentor and to get somebody through the line. Those who have had the opportunity. particularly, you know, concerned about these dwindling numbers, especially in the National Assembly, especially the top, you know, the upper chambers.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen a situation where the numbers were more than this. Now it's reduced so, you know, drastically. So what would you be doing, for instance? It's not a battle of the sexes, but how would you, for instance, help, you know, somebody who is a woman through the door?
Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, in other professions, it's already happening. I mean, look at the banking industry. Suddenly, women took over as CEOs. So now we need to bring that into politics. You see, the political terrain is still a bit harsh, even for the men. That's why my brother here said after being deputy governor, he refused to run for governor. My brother here too, I don't know where you are running. So it's harsh. So when it comes to women mentoring women, you see...
His own case was because the men with the containers kept their money.
You see, let me interject here. I believe because of cultural, traditional barriers, as well as finance, Nigerian women have not really gone up politically.
Politically, yes.
But I believe a lot has to be done by the legislature, you know, to improve the standing of women in Nigerian politics. Go to overseas, especially in US. A woman was just the speaker, Nancy Pelosi of California. A woman currently is the vice president of the country. And there are as many women in the House of Rep and Senate just as men. You know, I know we have all these barriers, but I believe for it to work in this country, there has to be a legislation. The National Assembly needs to do something, you know, either to pass a law indicating the number of women or percentage of women that has to be in the House. Then you now come to the political parties, where I talked earlier on about...
Who is going to see this constituency?
Eh?
Who is going to see this constituency for this idea?
Exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. It's just
if you say the number of women in the National Assembly, there are some constituencies that they would have to come for. Will you now say this constituency? There must be a balance.
It's not a constituency. They can make it a level playing field. There has to be a level playing field where the women and the men can compete. But this time around, there's no level playing field.
Well, I don't want to put my opinion on this. Let Dr. Keke help me.
Let me add my 2 bits. I think what he said about cultural bias is there. That's definitely there, yes. Maybe also religious. Maybe also the level of finance is also a problem. But there's no law you can put to say that you must have this % of women. It's going to be difficult to put forward. Like you said, who will see their constituency? I think it's an issue of mindset. Let me give you an example. United States, when Hillary Clinton was running for election as president, she lost out. And she even lost the vote of women. Why? Because they saw her as being too ambitious. Somebody who had just planned her life about being the president of the United States. When the husband committed adultery, she didn't mind. She was like focused on being the president. So they didn't really come out to vote for her. If you go to the voting population in our country,
and they voted for someone who spoke too bad. I mean, in some cases, badly about them.
Exactly, exactly. If you go to your, if you come to even my town, the people that come out for election that vote are the women. They're the women that come out. So like you're saying, if the women feel right about putting in a woman, they can. The question is, it's like some of the good people not coming out for elections. Women also are in the same situation. They feel like they can't win, so they don't come out. I think it's just a time factor. That with time, more women will change. Yes. Well, it will change. Definitely, it will change. Because, I mean, look at the rest of the world. Yeah. Look at the prime ministers of so many of the European countries. They're women. It's not a question that women can even do better. If you go to...
we may also have to...
Let me give you an example. Go to Rwanda. Most of the ministers are women. Of course, they lost a lot of the men during the war, but the women are performing. They're doing a good, fantastic job. Women can work. They can do better than men. If they go through the hassle of making a home, they say the man brings home the bacon, but it's the woman that makes the home work. Why can't they run agencies? Why can't they run ministries? They can't. There's no reason why women can't. It's just something with time, political awareness. Like you said, we have APC Professional Forum. Some of us are not there because we want to run for an election. We are more there as maybe creating a good awareness and maybe political appointment to be appointed. Because sometimes that process, you know, having been in a political process in my state, and what I witnessed tells me it's really difficult to be part of this process, because you're sitting around with people and they're telling you, you're the man, your excellency, you're it, this is it, this is it. Once they step out of that door, they're telling somebody else something else. You find that they're not with you. So there's that level of no trust. No, people are not genuine, you know, their support for you.
Let me ask you a direct question. When you left office, was that when you now found out some of the things you didn't do well, or the things that you did well in terms of feedback? Was there a curtain, a veil between you, for instance, and some of these things because of our nature of being perhaps a little bit sycophantic to the man in the chair?
How do I put this? The problem I have with people now is that I didn't give them contract, I didn't give money. I even have a relative that went to report to the governor once that I wasn't sharing. The governor told me this story. The governor said to him, well, it's only when I give him Nkem that Nkem will give you. So if I don't give him, he won't give you. The point is that people's expectations is really warped. It's all about what can you give. Do you have money to give them? Do you have a contract to give? Once you're not able to do that, you haven't performed. The only thing I know in my life, or the way I performed, was I did my best. I did whatever capabilities I could. If I found a reason to give somebody a job, I gave the job. And I don't give a job because you're my relative, no. I give a job to who comes to my office and says, I need a job. Because sometimes such people are the ones I'll remember. They say legacy is not in structure. Legacy is in human beings, the many lives you've touched when you're in position of power. I want to say something. We tend to focus on political leaders, but a principal is a leader. A teacher is a leader. One of my best jobs was when I was a lecturer in the university. That was my best job. I came into class, you see young kids listening to you, looking up to you to impact knowledge. What I want to see change in our society is, if you are in any position of power, if you're in a position to make a difference, make a difference. Do things the right way. You might not see the reward now, but I guarantee you the reward will come in due course. I don't know. That's my own take.
This sermonizing,
yes,
we may need to look at the reality on ground.
Yes.
Your fellow politician, or in fact, you are all politicians. So
no, I'm not a politician.
I
see myself. No. I'm a professional in politics.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, very good.
Technocrat in politics.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah. So I will take that description for the purpose of this discussion. But let me come to you, Dr. George Agbekai. And how do you incentivize this vote buying? How do you stop it from the party perspective? Because holding leaders accountable becomes very difficult when you have collected 4,000 just before on election morning. And I had to tell one while I was on the field that if you take 4,000, that means 1,000 for each year that the governor is on the seat. He's been able to pay you 1,000 per year. But she didn't really see what I was talking about. She was even, my dad was an action group member as a student.
Yeah.
As a student, and he had an idea of what the party was going to be about, even as a student. So coming out, he knew, okay, could he be a part of this? And not because of the manifesto. It was as if he was reading what he wanted to become.
Yeah, you see, the issue of vote buying in Nigerian politics is one that started prior to the First Republic, and it blossomed in the Second Republic. Now, in this Fourth Republic, it has come back. I don't know if I should say that it is part and parcel of our political culture. It is becoming something that is inherent, in our society. And it is wrong. The point now is this. There are some other factors. The security apparatus, the police people, the civil defense. In fact, at some point, I was an election observer in one of the states, which I won't mention. And one of the talks was there sharing money in front of a deputy commissioner of police. We were just sharing it. People were collecting. And there was a deputy commissioner of police that was almost by the side. You see what I'm saying? It is wrong. And for us to stop this mess, it has to start from the top. Okay, look at most of these talks, sharing money. Some of them are caught. But to prosecute them is a problem. You catch them and they are in jail, waiting trial. You see the same politicians that they were working for, we go and bail them out. So that is a problem. The issue of monetization of our elections is part and parcel of this. That's why our election has become a do or die affair. People save money for election. You save money for political primaries of the election. After that, you save money for the main election. After that, you also save money for court cases. That is a huge problem. President Tinubu has spoken eloquently, about changing the narratives in terms of our elections. So we really await him to do a whole lot in changing the orientation. Because this is all about orientation. It's all about mindset. It has to start from primary school, secondary school, the universities.
All right, I understand that. Let me, Dr. Ronke, I'm going to my next story.
All right.
And in going there, I want to say the women who were part of this, they were sharing wrappers for a long time. But let's move on very quickly. Abuja Technocrats has a story on women, if that is ready. And then we take it, after that we'll talk of housing. Let's see if we have the clip for women so far in the 1 year of the current administration, and after that we'll go to housing.
From the corridors of power to the spheres of businesses, Nigerian women are leaving nothing to chance in the bid to rewrite history that women are partners in building a formidable home front and, by extension, growing the nation's economy.
The government has started to make an impact. Most of our women in the Nigerian economy today are in the informal sector. They're trading, some are farmers, some are artisans, and so on and so forth. And government is looking at how to help them through agricultural programs.
The pet project of Her Excellency, the Renew Up, which she is the national chairman, is for women and children. She has empowered so many women, given scholarship through this Office of National Council for Women's Societies.
In a bid to harness the enormous potentials in women, who forms over 50% of Nigeria's population, informs the women-friendly initiative of the present government.
And everything we're doing in this Ministry of Women Affairs since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took over is fairness, equity and justice. We are one Nigeria. Everybody must be carried along. The poor must breathe, like the president keeps saying.
In agriculture, for instance, the current administration within 1 year in office has rolled out various programs and incentives to support women in agriculture, especially those in the rural areas. But just like Oliver Twist, they are also asking for more. Patience Nnamani is one amongst other women willing to expand their scope in food production if given more of the needed resources.
Get like fertilizer, I get like a loan
for me to expand more, I would like it so that I myself will employ some people.
With 500 hectares of land for rice, then 300 hectares of land for corn. We decided to start with those two for now as test running.
Also in the area of women empowerment, the story is changing for good.
37,000 POS free with table, chairs and umbrella. We equally shared it, making it 1,000 per state. It's the same way I'm doing with those sustainable empowerment machines. Because what I do, the people in the north, they do deal on rice, beans, corn. We gave them rice, beans, and corn processing machines. Then those in the south, we gave them cassava and garri processing machines. And each of the communities we give, we make sure you have complete set.
I promise that I will never be a dependent when I handle this. I don't need to give it to anybody because I'm also a computer literate.
The POS, I'm going to use it to start up a business because for now, I'm doing buying and selling.
As women and children are the most vulnerable in times of crisis, insecurity, they say, remains a huge challenge for them.
Insecurity and conflict affects women the most, and they cannot go to farm because of insecurity. So I think that is very important. Because if you give a woman a loan and a grant, and an agri loan or grant, and she can't access the farm, what have you done? We need to go back and do our best to secure our women and secure the lives and property of every citizen.
We have the belief that with their efforts they are making, this joint security effort, I believe our army are working and it will bring end to this problem.
In counting their gains so far in 1 year of President Tinubu, the women are optimistic that the future is bright in the years ahead. Ngozi Technical, NTA News.
Ngozi Technical with the technicalities of women empowerment in that report. Dr. Keke is here, Dr. Runke Bello, and Dr. George Akbakhai. Dr. Keke, housing is another issue.
Yes.
Infrastructure development, especially housing. It's supposed to be both at the national and sub-national level. We've seen the housing projects. It started under the previous administration, has been taken up. In this administration, just last week, about 2,700 or so houses were inaugurated in Katsina by this current administration. But how can the sub-nationals key in? We've been doing this for a long time, but still a huge deficit in that sector.
Oh, how can the sub-nationals?
Yes,
they can. I mean, because the people live in their states. It's not rocket science. They need to really get involved. Of course, the question you ask, do they have the resources to get into housing? But I think what you need to do is more of create an enabling environment for the private sector to come in. I know in Anambra, a lot of estates are coming up because the government is ceding land to private developers who now develop and then sell to the citizens, or even there's people who are involved in the Federal Mortgage Association, people who pay into the federal government a mortgage association to be able to just pay the little money, and then you begin to, money is deducted from your salary to be able to pay for the mortgage of the housing. So I think more needs to be done because there's definitely more need for housing, especially now that things are a bit more difficult, more stressing. The question is, how does the federal government provide the support to the subnationals? Because to me, if they're engaging in development themselves, well, I guess it works because I know they did some work in Anambra. Federal Mortgage Bank actually was in Anambra doing the same. It just needs a situation where more effort we made in that direction, more funds provided, see how we can attract even foreign investment in that area to be able to provide more housing. It's a key area that needs to be dealt with as soon as possible.
It's a huge industry, Dr. Akbakhai. How can the subnationals intervene, helping the people get this. And by this intervention, sometimes it could also lower issues of rent. If there are more houses, available and they are affordable, that could also help. And there will be not much stress on the citizens, because these days, unlike in other climes, the average Nigerian just wants to build his own house, and and that also leads to some corruption as well. But in your experience and what you've seen in this sector, what interventions do you think should be made at the subnational level? The plan is pretty clear at the national level.
Yeah. I think in the area of housing, President Tinubu has done tremendously well in the area of housing. In fact, the man that is in charge of housing, the Minister for Housing, I remember used to be the Managing Director of Federal Mortgage Bank. He already has vast experience in that sector, and what the federal government need to do is also to try to replicate this in the states. I'm aware that in Imo State, there has been some federal presence in housing, especially somewhere in Avu, close to Owerri, But at the same time, the governor of Imo State, for all I know, has also participated in, real estate, doing real estate for the workers, and that is a very good idea, But the point is this: state governors all across the country, they have the finances, to engage in housing. Have you forgotten that most of them also collect loans? They borrow money from overseas, But it's important to really put this money in the right areas. I know very well when Wike was in River State, the state under Wike, built, housing estates for civil servants. So the area of housing is very, very critical, because rent is high. As inflation goes up, rent also goes up. So it's an area that the government, both federal and state, need to pay attention to.
Dr. Bello.
Yes. Well, I think they've mentioned the key areas. If we can think of some years back, I think one of the greatest legacies of the Obasanjo then administration, at least for government workers, was when they made, if you wanted, they gave you the first right of refusal to buy where you are living. That then really helped a lot of Nigerian workers. So I think policies like that should come back in a way. And then he mentioned on the key area, which I'm going to put it as a question. I know you are the one asking the questions. But who regulates rents in Nigeria? Because that's the killer for most Nigerians. So who regulates?
It's an open market.
It's an open market.
It's an open market.
It's an open market. But just sorry to interject. I think what's going on in the National Assembly about paying rent monthly, I think it's a fantastic move. I think I'm hoping the federal government can push it, let it pass through, because people are strangulated by having to pay annual rent, pay 2 years. What for? Once you sign, in the United States, once you sign an agreement monthly, you pay your rent monthly.
Like they do overseas.
Exactly. That's what it needs to be done.
But there's also some magic in the FCT. The FCT minister, I think he wants to do something in that direction. You have a lot of estates unoccupied.
Unoccupied.
And people are looking for houses.
Correct.
So, we'll go into that subsequently. But let's take this report on housing very shortly. The difficulty in accessing affordable, decent and quality housing delivery in Nigeria has been one of the major challenges facing an estimated 80% of Nigerians who fall within the the low and medium income earners. In this special report, Francis Udojo examines efforts made by the federal government and complementary arrangements with agencies towards housing delivery in Nigeria.
Shelter, no doubt, is one of the basic needs of man. However, the difficulty in owning a house is a huge challenge for many, especially the low and zero income earners. Jummai Stephen, a public servant, is one out of few lucky to acquire a house through a government housing program, though she says it was not easy.
It doesn't come easy. Neither did it come for me. But with friends and family and savings, I was able to, and borrowings too, I was able to pay the initial deposit and get the place. Government is doing well in this direction, but I think government needs to do much more.
Jummai is lucky, but her case is not the same with a 27-year-old private school teacher, Mercy Chijoke, and a 60-year-old retiree, Luka Nimiel, whose places of abode are short of the standard, expressing difficulty in getting a decent house.
Men looking at the environment, you see that is not conducive. We don't have toilet. See, this is just the toilet, and this is public toilet. If you should have a little child, and there is no way you can provide poultry for the child, it means that the child will contract sickness.
Government, everybody have his own help or way to do, and if they're trying to help, I no go refuse now.
Despite several government policies to address housing needs of the people, yet systematic issues like inconsistencies in policy implementation, suboptimal performance of federal housing institutions, among others, have continued to be a barrier, resulting to prevalence of slums and a huge housing shortage that experts estimate to range from 12 million in 2007 to 28 million housing deficit in 2023. The present administration, led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in its wisdom to tackle the challenges, pulled the Ministry of Housing out of works, giving it full autonomy to perform optimally, doling out 100 billion naira in the 2023 supplementary budget and 18.9 billion naira in the 2024 budget. This huge support to the housing sector initiated a delivery process of renewed hope cities and estates of 100,000 housing units across the Federation. The pilot stage was the inauguration of 3,112 unit sites in Karasana with a complementary roles of private investors and developers.
We intend to spread these houses in the entire states of the Federation. So once you have these houses in the entire states of the Federation, options were given for you to purchase either 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom or 3 bedroom, depending on your affordability.
The present government had also engaged financial institutions and agencies like the FHA, FMBN in the housing delivery process, where National Housing Fund and social housing programs could be accessed through a mortgage plan, rent-to-own, outright purchase, among others.
For those who don't have a purchasing power, we are proposing the National Housing Fund. We are taking it to National Assembly within a couple of weeks for the National Assembly to approve that. Government is going to provide those houses free of charge to Nigerians. How to solve the funding? We are doing the framework.
Currently, the first batch of applicants have been identified under the National Housing Program, NHP, with a total of 8,925 applicants. This could be said to be a big sigh of relief, an opportunity for 27-year-old Mrs. Mercy Chijoke and many Nigerians living in slums to own a decent and affordable house of their own. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
Thank you, Francis. When a new helmsman takes the seat of the Nigerian president, there are several things that come in the entry. That is the stature of the nation on the continent and in the sub-region, and making new friends around the world. Let's listen to some of the president's takes in at the World Economic Forum and also at ECOWAS, talking about Nigeria's resolve in tackling some of the issues raised in the sub-region, the continent, and of course in the Committee of Nations as well.
To growth. 2 million. 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 2 million.
It is going to be difficult. But the hallmark of leadership is taking difficult decisions at the time it ought to be taken decisively. That was necessary for the country. Yes, there will be blowback. There is expectation that the difficulty in it will be felt by a greater number of the people. But once I believe it was their interest that is the focus of the government, it is easier to manage and explain the difficulties. Along the line, there is a parallel arrangement to really cushion the effect of the subsidy removal on the vulnerable population of the country. We share the pain across the board. We cannot but include those who are very vulnerable. Luckily, we have a very vibrant, youthful population interested in discoveries by themselves and highly ready for technology, good education, committed to growth, who are able to manage that and partition the economic drawback and the fallout of the subsidy removal. Equally, it engendered transparency, accountability, and physical discipline for the country. And that, to me, is more important to focus on what direction we should go, and we pursue that rigorously.
All right, some sound bites from the president. We still have one more from ECOWAS. If we can take that before we come to our discussion. Let's take the president's remarks at ECOWAS, talking about issues in the sub-region.
Great members of the Parliament, to observe the provision of the Supplementary Act relating to the enhancement of the powers of the ECOWAS Parliament, which confers upon me, as chairperson of ECOWAS Authority of Head of States and Government, the power to convene the first session of the 6th legislature. In doing so, I wish to reaffirm my unwavering commitment to the aspiration of our community and, by extension, the fundamental objectives upon which the ECOWAS Parliament was established. Dear parliamentarians, our journey towards a future of peace and prosperity, we cannot succeed without the loyal contribution and hard work of our community's legislative agency. Furthermore, to realize the ECOWAS vision of 2050, we require greater involvement of the people in the decision-making process of the community. Please bear that in mind.
To set the tone for the next leg of our discussion, and as well also remind you that we may soon go to the National Assembly as well, let's look at the power sector. In the last 1 year, the current administration has embarked on reforms to build a resilient power sector. Now, let's know about the currents that has led us to where we are at the moment. Let's hear from Joshua Ojito.
It's 1 year of the Tinubu administration, and government says effort to improving power supply in the country is work in progress. From legislation to executive commitment that birthed New Electricity Act 2023 and steps taken so far to increase generation, strengthen capacity of the grid, as well as distribution. Industry players describe events of last 1 year in the sector as right steps towards building resilient power sector.
There are a lot of investments already coming into the power sector because of the activities and liberalization they have witnessed in this sector. And I believe that whatever has eluded us in the past in this sector, this administration is committed to break the jinx and make the power sector effective again.
We impacted about 7.8 million lives in the country. We have connected 1.8 million houses. We have developed 150 mini grids and also deployed over 1.5 million solar home systems across the country. One of the key things that this present administration has succeeded in achieving is the signing of the biggest public sector funded off-grid project in the entire world, a $750 million project that we popularly call DARE, Distributed Access Through Renewable Energy Scale-Up.
So these are things that are brought on board by Mr. President to ensure that all the challenges in the power sector are effectively resolved, and then we will now have adequate power supply, we will have reliable and sustainable electricity supply and safe electricity supply in the country.
Also, in the last 1 year, electricity tariff was increased, but only for customers on Band A from 68 Naira kilowatt per hour to 206 Naira 80 kobo, with assurance of 20 hours daily supply, while tariff for customers in other bands remained frozen as they continue to enjoy federal government subsidy in the sector. However, continuous vandalization of transmission towers and other power infrastructure, especially in the northeast and north-central parts of the country, with great disturbances, are some of the challenges the industry is contending with.
TCN is collaborating with all these security agencies to make sure that our lines are well protected. I'm assured Nigerians that the government is doing all what is possible
in the Federal Capital Territory and by implication Nigeria.
Sorry about that, Joshua Ojito. We have to that your report. The current is still there. We'll get back to it in the course of this broadcast. But let's join the National Assembly. We understand the joint session is on now. Let's join the network studios for the National Assembly, and let me use the opportunity to thank my guests. We will be back after the live coverage of activities at the National Assembly. Let me quickly thank Dr. Runke Bello, publicist and political policy analyst, and also an advocate for women in government.
Thank you.
Dr. George Agbeka, a Southeast Leader Tinubu Support Organization, is also a traditional chief, the title holder, and of course, former Deputy Governor of Anambra State, Dr. Ekam Okoke. All PhD holders are on today's edition of this leg of the transmission. My colleague Ruth will come after this broadcast. I've been here with you, and my name is Fisaya Ogunfi. Thanking you for being a part of it. Keep it logged on the Nigerian Television Authority for views, reviews, previews, and interviews. Bye-bye now.
Deputy Speaker, with the leaders who receive the Vice President now, all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be our symbol, that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle honored, and this we count as gain, to hand to our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed. Can we say amen?
Distinguished senators, honorable colleagues, it's a great pleasure to have you here on this emergency sitting, joint sitting to receive Mr. President, primarily to flag off the new national anthem. I'm sure you are aware that this program should have started by 11, but because of some technical issues that we have encountered, that's why it has been, it's taking place now. And because of that, Mr. President has other commitments after the National Assembly engagement is supposed to be at the commissioning of the light railway station somewhere in the town. So he might not be able to give any speech, and all the speech is coming from us too. Not going to take place because the June 12 is supposed to be the real democracy day, not May 29th. It was an error from us, and Mr. President has acknowledged our shortcomings in that regard and advised that whatever ceremony we are going to have, whatever speeches we are going to have, should be reserved for June 12. That will be the day that we will all convey to actually celebrate democracy. So, honorable colleagues and distinguished senators, forgive us for such this lapse. Inshallah, by June 12, all that we have to say about our 25 years of unbroken democracy will come to pass. I want to also especially thank you all for the role you played in ensuring that the National Anthem Act bill was judiciously and expeditiously passed by both the Senate and the House. And as the Senate President has just mentioned, Mr. President has assented to that particular bill. It is now an act. And his presence here today will be largely to symbolize the commencement of the use of the new national anthem. And after that, I believe we'll adjourn. And the Senate President and myself, and of course some of you who have been invited for the next phase of the commissioning taking place today.
Distinguished members of the House of Representatives, we have in attendance the national chairman of the largest political party in Africa. His Excellency Governor Ganduje, you are welcome. Whether we shout, whether we say yes or no, you are still the chairman of the largest political party in Africa. And representing the governors, many of them will come, is a major performing governor of Borno State, my dear brother, Governor Zulum. You are welcome. I know other governors will soon be here. Nobody said no when I said the best performing governor in the whole of Borno State. Nobody said no.
So you are welcome, sir. So distinguished colleagues, in a few minutes, August guests will be here. Distinguished senators, distinguished colleagues, myself and the Speaker, we have just noticed that a former member of the House, a former Speaker of the House of Representatives is also in our midst. Right Honorable Patricia Ete. And we have seen also from the Deputy Chairman South-South to other members of the Working Committee of the greatest party in Africa, the APC. They are also here in attendance, the National Working Committee. We have a former Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, also in our midst. So it's, you have already done the needful in accordance with our rules. You have moved a motion to allow strangers to approach the hallowed chambers of the House of Representatives. So for that, I thank you. And so the door is open for strangers to accompany the Vice President and the President to have access to these chambers without election today. So I thank you for that.
You're welcome to the live broadcast of National Assembly joint session, where any moment from now, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will be gracing the chamber of the House of Representatives in commemoration of Nigeria's 25 years unbroken democracy. Well, at the moment, senators and members of the House of Representatives are all seated in the green chamber. Well, before this time, members of the House of Representatives, some of them actually made some, presentations on what some of them described as a strategic and critical moment in Nigeria's nation building, where some of them outlined the various achievements of Nigeria's democratic journey. Well, and then the senators were in their own chamber before, just a few minutes ago, the senators now had to join them. And then earlier, the President of the Senate had announced that today is not the National Democracy Day. And because of that, there won't be a presentation of addresses. Same with what the Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, just said. Now, all senators and members of the House of Representatives are all seated. Earlier, the House of Representatives had moved the motion, which is the tradition of Parliament, to usher in visitors into the chamber. And then that gave way for some of the guests who bid to be part of this August meeting to enter. We have the national chairman of the APC, Abdullahi Ganduje, former governor of Kano State. We also have the governor of Borno State, already seated in the chamber, Babagana Omara Zulum. We also have former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Patricia Ete, and some other former clerks and some members of the Federal Executive Council as well. Now, everywhere from from the entrance of the National Assembly to that links the presidential villa, everything is now set to receive Mr. President. Well, we have quite a number of handful of media houses across around too, and we have presence of security personnel, in addition to the ones that we already have here in the National Assembly. But everything is now set. Members seated, senators seated. Well, we expect that any moment from now, the president will be entering the Green Chamber. It is a day to actually remember Nigeria's journey in the democratic chain. Well, today actually is not Nigeria's Democracy Day, but then it's very strategic because on the 29th of May, the president was sworn in, and today marks 1 year of that national event. Now, like the Senate President earlier announced, they are inviting the president so that he can listen to some of the legislators as part of marking his 1 year in office. We will remember that the president on the 29th of May 2023, when he was sworn in, he listed 3 strategic agenda as the driving tools for his commitment for Nigerian democratic development. That day, Mr. President reaffirmed his commitment anchored in seeking for economic rebirth for Nigeria, also to strengthen national security, boosting agriculture and food security. Well, when the president came on board, his desire to ensure food sufficiency for Nigerians led to the recrafting of the Ministry of Agriculture to now become Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. One of the 8-point agenda of the president as well is to unlock energy and natural resources. The president also announced his resolve to transform infrastructure and transportation, which has been visible in the last 1 year that the president has been hands-on. And we expect that some of those infrastructural development breakthroughs will be commissioned as well. And we also expect that from here, Mr. President will be going to commission other infrastructural projects that has been in place within 1 year. The president also made clear his desire to improve on education, health, and social investment, accelerate diversification through youth-driven industrialization, digitization, and innovation. And that has been very clear that the president has not wavered on this resolve. The president also announced his resolve to improve on governance for effective service delivery. Now, as it stands, the chief executive, the commander in Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is entering the chamber.
On your mandate, Bola.
Your Excellency, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, our dear brother, distinguished Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON. Your Excellencies, from the chairman of the largest party in Africa, earlier introduced, His Excellency Ganduje, National Working Committee members of the Great Party, the APC, the Governor of Borno State, the Chief of Staff, principal officers of both chambers, the Secretary to Government of the Federation, himself a Senator, Senator Akume, former speakers, starting with our sister Patricia Ete, former deputy speakers, former leaders of National Assembly, all our colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President, this is your National Assembly. The senators and members have asked me to congratulate you on your first anniversary since your swearing in office. Congratulations, sir. Before you came, myself and my brother, Tajuddin Abbas, explained the purpose of this visit. That this is what we call in Nollywood, Waka Pass. You had you intend to celebrate Democracy Day, which is June 12th. But out of honor and respect for the National Assembly, you said you must pass through the National Assembly on your first anniversary in office. Of all the significant things you have done is to take us back to our genealogy, the genealogy of our birth, that though we may belong to different tribes, though we may have different tongues, in brotherhood we all stand. Henceforth, we will not refer to ourselves as just mere compatriots. We will refer to ourselves as brothers. And as we go forth in battle, whether on the field of sports, in the field of politics, in economic endeavors, we must hail Nigeria. And so we are all saying today, Mr. President, Nigeria, we hail thee. There is no better place to commence this revolution of going back to our genealogy than the National Assembly. Matter of patriotic, not just representatives, but elected representatives of the people of Nigeria. The voice of the National Assembly is the voice of Nigeria. So we welcome you. On that note, sir, we will allow you to greet your people because of your crowded schedule today, and we look forward to celebrating Democracy Day on June 12th with you. You just greet us. You may say what? You may wave. You may stand up and take a bow. Because this is the chambers. However you do it. And thereafter, we will allow you to take your exit while we continue with our proceedings. Welcome, Mr. President.
Your Excellency, the Senate President, Your Excellency, the Honorable Speaker, distinguished leadership of the House, the Legislative House, both sides, colleagues and friends, old and new, to every Nigerian, I say congratulations for 25 years of unbroken democracy. Out of respect, I come to say thank you very much for building up to this stage, building the institution, building the country. You are the first and foremost leaders that speak for our people. And you have been in the forefront of this struggle.
Mr. President, without interruption, the members have asked me to tell you to please sit while they are speaking in chambers.
Thank you very much. This institution, the hallowed chamber, represent our consciousness for freedom,
sense of belonging. You rang out the latest national anthem. Nigeria will hail thee. See, this is our diversity. Representing all characters. And how we blend together to be brothers and sisters. Without this house, probably I may not find a path to the presidency. I started all from here. And that is why I'm giving that respect this morning to you, to please continue to collaborate, work together, build our country. We have no other choice. It is our nation. No one, no age, no other institution or personality will help us except we do it ourselves. No amount of aid that may be coming from foreign countries or any other nation. They take care of themselves first. Let us work together, as we are doing, to build our nation. Not only for us, but for generations yet unborn. Charting a new path. The question of program for development. I submitted the last budget to you. You expeditiously passed it. We are walking the talk. I will soon bring year 2024 appropriation bill. That is just for your information. But we must nourish this democracy, build this nation, so that the future of our great grandchildren will be sure of prosperity, development, and progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will be expecting the supplementary appropriation bill of 2024 as soon as possible. On that note, Mr. President, to enable you waka pass, I want to invite my brother, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, the Speaker, House of Representatives, to say thank you to you before we. I would plead that the band should not lead us. We want to use our voices and get used to our new anthem. Right, Honorable Speaker. The members have agreed that they can sing. And so please say thank you to the President, and then we will now take the new national anthem with our voices so we get used to it. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, our father, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, our dear brother, Honorable Kashim Shettima, Your Excellency, the Senate President, please permit me to stand on the existing protocol already established. My own is just to say a big thank you to our dear leader, who has been very supportive of the National Assembly over the last 1 year. A true Democrat who has seen it all, a former governor, a former senator, a leader of the party, and now the president. I want you to know, Your Excellency, that we in the National Assembly are very, very happy with your report card, with your performance so far. The National Assembly is very, very thankful for the partnership that has existed within the last 1 year between you and us here. It has been a partnership that has been mutually beneficial to all of us. It is a win-win, and that is how democracy is supposed to be played. We want to thank you for finding time to come here in spite of your tight schedules, and to assure you as well that the National Assembly will always be supportive of your noble objectives. We will always be there to support you, to partner with you, and to collaborate with you. We want to thank you for bringing back our national anthem, the one that we grew up with. I'm talking about those of us who are above 50. And for the young ones, I'm sure by the time you sit down, read it line by line, word by word, you will see why it is very, very important for Nigeria to revisit its former national anthem. Because it inspires hope. It inspires hope. If we can follow to its logical conclusion, Nigeria will be a much greater nation. So thank you, Your Excellency, for coming. We will be looking forward to being with
Mr. President, because we are Democrats, I would like to put the question. The Speaker has just mentioned something that those who are below 50 years may not know much about the old national anthem. So can I put the question? Those in support that the band should lead us to sing the new national anthem adopted by both chambers of the House of Representatives and the Senate, can I hear you? Say aye. Aye. Those against, that is those who are saying we should use our voices. Can you say nay? Okay. As Democrats, the ayes have it. So may we now rise for the national anthem.
Well, that's the end of the President's visit to the National Assembly here inside the chamber of the House of Representatives. Well, earlier the President had made some comments where he congratulated Nigerians on the 25 years of unbroken democracy. He explained that his visit to the National Assembly is to just say congratulations to members of the Senate and House of Representatives who are leaders and representatives of Nigerians. Yeah, President Tinubu also described the legislature as leaders who represent national consciousness for freedom and sense of belonging. He urged them to continue to collaborate towards a better Nigeria. The President observed that the act of building Nigeria should be done by Nigerians and not foreigners. He emphasized that no amount of aid from foreigners would build the nation of our choice. He said that Nigerians must nourish this democracy so as to bequeath to citizens yet unborn the standard of leadership and country that they desired and wished. Well, earlier, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, in his opening speech, congratulated the President and Nigerians and said that the President has taken Nigeria back to its genealogy of its birth by reintroducing the earlier national anthem. Now the President is still exchanging pleasantries with members of the National Assembly. After that, we expect that the President will now go straight to the new National Assembly Library Complex to commission the project. As soon as the President finished his comments, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, also thanked the President, describing him as a true Democrat. He observed that the President's gesture towards the legislature is typical of a good breed Democrat. He said the President gives the National Assembly their constitutional space to carry out their duties. Tajuddin Abbas said the National Assembly is very happy with the President's scorecard. He noted that his administration is in mutual relationship with all other organs of government for national development.
The Aswaju of the Magellan.
Honorable colleagues, can somebody move for the adjournment of this special sitting? I will expect a member of the Senate, any member of the Senate, any member from the House. Honorable Shatima, please go ahead.
Chief Whip, move. Mr. Speaker, sir, distinguished senators, honorable colleagues, I, Lawal Shatima Ali, representing Bursari Gaidam Nusaripere constituency, I hereby move that the House be adjourned till tomorrow 11th.
Minority Leader, Honorable Chinda, can you second?
Second.
Oh, really?
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I rise to second that the House do stand adjourned. I so second.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. House adjourned to Tuesday next week. Thank you.
Well, that was the end of that historic visit of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the National Assembly. Well, the House of Representatives now has adjourned to plenary to Tuesday next week. Well, it was quite clear that members of the National Assembly all embraced this visit. Because if you ask me, for those of us who have been in the National Assembly for some time, this is the first time in recorded time that a president, well, is coming on the day of his one-year anniversary, to commemorate with Nigerians through their leaders. Well, at this point in time, we will now hand over to our studio to continue with the scheduled program for today. On behalf of the outside broadcast crew here, I am Ignatius Nkwase. Enjoy the rest of our programs.
Assembly there commemorating 25 years of unbroken democracy. We saw the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who came in earlier to thank the legislators, for their sustenance and, of course, consistent building of the Constitution. As bridge builders, of course, and he specifically, stated that they represent, the consciousness for freedom and, of course, sense of belonging. And they should continue to work together, to build a nation where even unborn generations can enjoy what it means to have the dividends of democracy. He says his administration is walking the talk. And, of course, we're seeing that with the Renewed Hope agenda 1 year ago when he came on board to demonstrate his visionary leadership and commitment. This is still PBAT at 1. Welcome to another session, and of course Victor Azu, my colleague, is already here with us. Victor, you witnessed the session that just happened there at the National Assembly. One particular fascinating aspect was when the new national anthem, or should I say reverting to the old national anthem, was recited. Some persons had to go to their phones, talking about the legislators, to recite it. This is a national assignment, just like the Senate President said. It is a revolution, reverting back to the old national anthem. Can I ask you, do you know how to recite it?
Well, I have to learn it again.
I had to.
I'll have to learn. We all have to learn. It's now new to us, and well, the wordings of the old, now current national anthem, some say the wordings are quite a bit more unifying, a bit more, resonates a bit more with the people that we are. Yeah. Well, I have to learn all of it so that it sticks like the old one.
So you can recite it comfortably.
Begin to see.
Well, people like us and those of the the legislators there who kept looking at their phones, some kept mute. It's better you go mute. I'd just like to read the words, the lyrics. By the way, it was composed by Lydian John Williams. That was in 1959, and then it kicked off on Independence Day, and it was sustained till 1970. So for those of us like myself who don't know it properly, I like to read it because the words for me, Victor, they're very deep. Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribes and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign, in peace or battle honored. And this we count as gain, to hand on to our children a banner without stain. That's deep. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty, of course, Nigeria shall be blessed. Talk about reorientation, Victor. This is a national anthem, of course. We should look beyond the lyrics and the deeper meaning, talking about patriotism, commitment to serve, and of course that honor, respect for our national symbols.
Yeah, I think that means something, what will lead us wherever we go. The president goes somewhere, for instance, they have to play that for him to recite. If there is a football match involving the Nigerian national team,
you see that unity of
you have to.
recite that, and so that it can resonate with our people. And when you recite it, every other thing is silenced, just so that you can, it can resonate with you, and the spirit takes over you.
Okay, but Victor, if you look at this 10th National Assembly and, of course, the President Tinubu's administration, when you look at the synergy between the legislation and the legislators and, of course, the executive, how would you describe it?
I think it's a good thing. We have seen the kind of relationship that you want to see. The kind of relationship that you want to see between two arms of government, because at the end of the day, they are working towards one goal.
Yes, yes.
Everybody's working for the same Nigeria. And if the president, as leader of government, says this is the direction I want to go, he's only courting the support of the legislature to be able to deliver on his mandate. Now, it's a fine line that has to be carefully worked, because if you do that too much, advocates of separation of powers will come for you, because they tell you, you have become an appendage, as you often would hear. But I don't think that it's always the case. It's not actually a healthy situation where the legislature and the executive are at daggers drawn. They're always fighting, they're always disagreeing. Nobody makes progress in that kind of situation.
And that's why the president, sorry to come in, that's why the president had to thank them, for their consistency in building and sustaining democracy. Because, Victor, if you look at, of course, it was during the towards the last session of the 9th Assembly that the whole reversion for appropriation bill to go back to January, the whole January style, and it's been sustained, so to say, even with the 10th Assembly. And he specifically thanked them, for that very soon he will bring for the 2024 appropriation bill. But of course, the synergy is one aspect, and looking at the bills, passed within a short time, this national anthem, of course, is one of the fastest. People have come out to say that it's one of the fastest, they've been passed. How would you, look at it? Because 2011, President Tinubu, when he wasn't the president then, he wished, that Nigeria could go back to this old anthem. Do you think this is an honor?
Well, the president himself said it's a revolution. Perhaps the wordings mean that much, to say it is a revolution.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that which resonates best with us, that which we can relate with the best, and that which maybe can motivate us, can inspire us a bit more than the one we are departing from, to be able to achieve our national goals. And passed very, very swiftly. I'm not sure I've seen, well, there are other bills that have scaled that quickly, but this one
Victor,
is something.
We, of course, is Inauguration Day, and some states, of course, are also celebrating this day. So we're going to join our outside broadcast crew very shortly, because the Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, of course, is ready to give an account of his stewardship and presentation of his scorecard in the past 1 year. So we'll join our outside broadcast crew for that. Let's see what he has, for his people.
Lies. When he was doing all these things, did he consult us? Did you consult us?
Do not pay attention to him. Yes, sir. Look, Chief, the people first. Yes.
All right. Now, do you have one or two witnesses you can call? Let's hear from them, at least to confirm what you have said.
Indeed, the people are my witnesses.
Okay. One by one. Let's hear them. One by one.
Your Highness, these people are they necessary? We are talking about something that is within the family, within the structure. Why are you bringing the people here?
Can you hold your peace? One by one, please.
Yes, Your Highness. I construction projects, such as those at Elele Omoku Road, Ogoni Anthony Unity Road, and the Port Harcourt Ring Road. Please give it to me. Not only that, my lord. What about phase 2 of the Trans-Calabari Road? Emoha, Calabari Road, dualization. So many things have been done.
He did all this. Okay.
My chief, what about Eternal Road?
I can't hear you. Take this mic.
What about Egbeda Internal Road? What about phase 1 of Port Harcourt Electrical Village? See, as we speak right now, he has already directed the start of phase 2.
You mean the phase 2? Yes. He has directed.
Oh God, you are a good man. You can see that the people in your community, including the civil servants, are happy with you. You helped them achieve their goals and still want to do more for them. Oga, may God bless you, sir.
Yes, so prior to the promotion, my father was unable to cover my tuition. And then he gave my father a Christmas bonus of 100,000 naira.
Oh, that's
Thank
wonderful.
you, sir. Even at the River State University and the University of Port Harcourt, he fulfilled his promise and did a job. Thank you, sir. Sir, on behalf of the students in this Mindiama community, we say thank you.
That's a great one.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. He has also provided subsidy intervention buses for everybody in the state, both indigene and we the non-indigene. He has done so much. And you know these buses are free, sir.
Free.
Not only that,
okay.
He has also reopened the River State Transportation Company. My lord, sir, as we speak, they are in motion.
They are in motion
Thank
now.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
That's
My
great.
people, even in the health sector, employment is all going. He has also equipped the River State Teaching Hospital. Oga, you are a visionary leader. Yes. God will continue to bless you for us.
It is easy that I don't have witness. It's a mistake we have made. We'll correct it.
Money na money, money na money, money na money, money na money. My people, sir, hey, the empowerment of small-scale businesses and industries is also from his hand.
These are market women.
Yes.
Okay.
And he has also promised us very soon. I mean, very soon. He's going to open my one market for us. See, you know, NTA, he also gave every market woman 400 billion to support their small-scale businesses. Isn't that good? Money na money, money na money, money na money, money na money.
Thank you very much. The evidence are enough. We cannot waste time any further. Now, Ojirijibo, are you guilty or not guilty?
My lord, I thought you would not even allow me to talk. Now that you have allowed me, I have something to say. You see, it is not like that. The problem is that all these things they are mentioning, before he started carrying them out, did he consult us? Did he consult the structure? He did not consult the structure. All we are saying is that, look, this thing is the system. You consult the structure. Now, the other day, he went to, that was on the 1st of May. He was at the workers and the main announcement that as soon as federal government approves the minimum wage, he will be the first to pay. Did he consult us? He did not consult us. And we are hearing right now that he now wants to implement the 10,000 employment of the youths. Did he consult us? That is what I'm saying.
Now, young man, hold it. You are hiding from the question I asked you. Are you guilty or not guilty?
Your Highness, what about we that put him there? What about the structure? He wants to destroy our structure. We will not allow it.
Are you guilty or not guilty?
Your Highness, you are the one deciding.
You are guilty.
Now, if they say I am guilty, you should all know that all the reason why we are fighting him is that we just want to protect our structure. We want to be relevant. That's all. So I am a little guilty and little not guilty.
Now, without wasting time, you'll listen to my verdict. For misinforming the people and trying to mislead them concerning this gallant leader, young and this leader is like an eagle with target, and as he comes down, he comes for his target. He takes his time and he doesn't miss. Once more again, I am declaring that you be sentenced immediately. Gentlemen, carry this man away now.
Sentence for protecting the structure.
You and your structure will be arrested now. Carry him away.
Your Highness, we will protest this. We will appeal it. You can't keep us irrelevant. We must protect the structure. The structure first. We will protect it. We will protect it. We will protect it. We will protect it.
That's a short presentation by the Council of Arts and Culture Rivers State on the occasion of accounts of stewardship and scorecard of Governor Siminalaye's Fubara's 1 year in office. Earlier, the Secretary to the State Government, Tamida Nagogo, and the Chairman on the occasion, Senator John Mbata, had spoken, and they all congratulated the Governor for his successful 1 year in office. Good afternoon and welcome to this live broadcast transmitting live from Obiwali Hall, Port Harcourt. We thank you so much for tuning in, and on behalf of the outside broadcast crew, I welcome you to this occasion.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and invite to give a speech with all humility, a seasoned accountant, an astute administrator, a strong, determined, focused, purposeful, and responsible leader, the human face of governance, the governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Sir Siminalayi Fubara, Grand Service Star of Rivers State.
Yes.
Sir, Dr. Peter Odili, and your amiable wife. Your Excellency, the former deputy governor, the former governor of our dear state, Sir Sylvester here. My able lieutenant, the deputy governor of our dear state, and also the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, the Honorable Chief Judge of our state, and your members of the State Assembly, the Secretary to the State Government, our leaders that are here, Right the Honorable Austin Opara, Chief Secondus,